Vicario blunder costs Spurs. Frank attacks the fans and Luca hits a brace. All that and more. Welcome to Project Spurs.
Oh, the streets are cold and grey, but the fire in our hearts won't stray from the pitch where dreams collide. We'll stand together side by side. Oh, when the Spurs go marching in, when the Spurs go marching in, I wanna be there in that number. Oh, when the Spurs go marching in.
Hello, welcome back to Project Spurs, episode 2. The first one was so good, the YouTuber let us come back for more. This time we're with Dylan and Luke. Luke from Spotlight on Spurs and Dylan Coys over on TikTok, Luke, right? Dylan, right? TikTok mainly for you?
Bit of everything, yeah.
Bit of
TikTok,
everything.
YouTube,
yeah. He's a whiz kid. He does a bit of everything. But today we're going to talk about another disappointing Tottenham performance at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We're going to focus quite a lot on Thomas Frank and today's press conference, some of his comments and quotes, and then we'll have a brief look at the under-18s, especially Luca Williams, Barnett again, and then we'll focus a little bit of time on Newcastle, which is only tomorrow. So we're back already for another game. Callum will be joining us shortly. But first of all, Luke, welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining us. How are we, and how's your Monday been after another disappointing Tottenham result?
Yeah, thanks very much for having me on. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's been okay. I guess I've had a bit of therapy. I've been on a couple of podcasts to talk away my my demons of the weekend and the past week, I guess. Work has been absolutely crazy, so I haven't really had time to think today, but looking forward to talking all things Spurs. Thanks again for having me on. I appreciate it.
No, pleasure. Dylan, welcome. You've been unwell, but supporting Tottenham makes us all unwell. How are you feeling, and how's your Monday been after a poor performance?
Yeah, well, I've been all right. Thank you for having me here. As you said, I've not been well. Spurs haven't been making it any better at all. Every time I think I'm about to start feeling better, I notice that Spurs are playing, and I know I'm just going to get worse. But yeah, after that, it's just so frustrating, so frustrating. Newcastle next. All of these fixtures were just so close together, and a fixture like this, Newcastle away, we're never fantastic away.
No,
over up there.
Easier,
so
is it?
no, never. It just gets worse. But yeah, we're going to see.
Well, it was pretty bad on Saturday. Obviously, everybody's aware of the result. We lost 2-1 at home to Fulham. Fulham side that hadn't beaten us at home in close to 15 years, apparently, I'd read. So, again, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is the gift that keeps on giving. If you turn up to our stadium, we are going to give you a Christmas present, whether it is Christmas time, Easter, your birthday, whenever it is, we are going to give you a present. And if you're lucky, we might even give you 2. And on Saturday, we gave you 2 presents. Luke, try and explain to me what went on in that first 10 minutes, because I'll be honest, I sat there after 7 minutes and looked at my brother and said, I might go home. And I felt like going home, if I was honest, and I just paid 80 quid to sit in the stadium. So, yeah, try and explain to me what has happened, what's gone on.
It's like you got to imagine at the start, just before the game started, just before they're going out on the pitch, the manager's going, right, first 10 minutes, keep it solid, get the fans on side, let's try and then within 6 minutes, 7 minutes, the game's basically over. Like I don't think at this moment in time Fulham would have sat there and gone, Spurs will get 3 and beat us here. Like at no stage was that going to be the case. So just everything that you would want in a game. The first 10 minutes at home when you've got a really poor record. Obviously, everyone knows the issues that we have against teams that sit back. Everyone knows the difficulties we have in creating chances. To then give them one, you kind of like, right, you really need to settle down. And then to give them a second just moments later, it's absolutely crazy. And I feel like it highlighted really where we're lacking in terms of leadership just on that pitch. You just need someone to just settle everything down. People just doing things that they shouldn't be doing, making mistakes they shouldn't be making. And I mean, some of the goals that we're conceding seem to be very, very similar. Wide play coming into that midfield sort of D area, balls being whipped back. But the Vicario one, there's just don't get me wrong, when you actually break down each goal, you were a bit unlucky in certain instances. Porro, it kind of takes a nick off him, bounces off the attacker, then breaks, and then Bergvall looks like he anticipates it going one way, he kind of messes that up. Then there's a deflection, and then obviously with Vicario, he obviously misses the kick a bit. Udogie then slips. So there are a number of different things in there where it's not directly that player's fault, but you earn your luck, and we just allow these sort of things happen so consistently that you have to sit there and kind of be like, well, there must be a reason behind it. But yeah, as I said, like you can imagine every single team kind of says, right, first 10 minutes, win your battles, you beat your man, get the first tackle in, like don't give anything away, and then you 2-0 down in 6 minutes. Just yeah, absolutely crazy. I was so optimistic as well for some reason.
I was very optimistic, and I thought that we needed to win, but we needed to win with some conviction, especially after the debacle of the North London derby. And then we're going to Paris, and we lost, but we put in a relatively decent performance. And I really felt like 5 goals were all preventable. And then we went at home, Dylan, and we gave 2 goals again, which were pretty preventable again. Is that where are you at with our defensive structure? Because when we first started the season, that was probably one of the things we were praising the most for Thomas Frank.
Yeah, I mean, with a gift that keeps on giving, to be honest. In terms of our defensive structure, I mean, if you look at it on paper, you think we've got some somewhat decent players at the back. I just think that it's kind of like Luke was saying, the Fulham game, I mean, the goals that were given away, they were pretty sloppy and a little bit unlucky. Don't get me wrong, they were pretty decent goals. It's just so frustrating 6 minutes in to basically throw it away like that. I mean, the question really is where do we go from here? Because I know Frank has said time after time after these losses, we need to bounce back on this next one. And I know a lot of people have been saying that game was a must win. I was saying it myself. It was a must win game against Fulham. It's just really frustrating to really pinpoint exactly what the problem is. I know everyone's got their own opinions on Frank at the moment and some of the attitude of the players. I'm sure we'll get to that eventually. But yeah, it's difficult exactly where to look at the moment, I think, because everyone's heads seem to be all over the place.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's certainly a leadership issue currently at the club. I think that runs from the very top all the way sort of down, really, and onto the pitch. Luke, leadership-wise, is there a concern for you? Because we're seeing, Vicario is part of the leadership group. Pedro Porro is captain the club this season, and unfortunately with Pedro, I don't think he has been playing very well, but I think his reactions after the game on Saturday night weren't something that the fans are really going to be very happy with.
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, if you go through your so-called leadership team, which we seem to have, you obviously have Van der Ven, who half ignored Frank or did ignore Frank, depending on how you look at it, a couple of weeks back. You have Porro, who obviously had the incident with Bergvall and the fans and walking off. You've had Romero on occasions who, at the start of the season particularly, gave that really poorly timed sort of post about more about Ange, but on the day Frank was appointed, and then obviously he's walked down the tunnel and not said anything. Vicario making a massive mistake and blaming players, and actually that's all your leaders, right? They're your kind of group of leaders, that have all not led by example. So I feel like we've always had some sort of focal point in that dressing room. So obviously Kane, I think Son as well, were great leaders in terms of following their lead. But it definitely is a problem. And as I said, in especially when times are difficult, that's when your leaders really shine through. It's not when things are going well that you need them. It's when things are really, really going badly. So I think it is something that we need to address. Unfortunately, like when you're lacking in positions, like you're lacking a striker, you can go and get a striker, but you don't just go and sign a player just on the basis that they're a good leader. It kind of has to fix in and work well with what you've got as well. But I feel like it's been a bit of a problem for us for a little while now, and it definitely needs to be addressed. And I agree. I think it comes from the very top. I think we need a clear understanding, an idea of what Spurs want to be, where we want to go, and how we want to do it. And then it filters sort of through. So it is definitely an aspect of the game that we need to improve on, because it seems that we have this in our locker far too often in terms of just falling apart and just becoming really like either a bad 10 minutes or a bad 15, 20 minutes, whatever it is. We just seem to do this far too regular under different managers who play different systems, who play different players, who play different formations. So something that's a bit more deep rooted, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Callum, welcome back. He's home from work, bless him. He's jumped straight on for our second episode. I said at the top of the show, Callum, that YouTube said this was so good they allowed us to come back for more. They said that you had to be a little bit late on this one though, just to get the viewers up. So we've got that. We've got the viewers in. Callum, please try and dissect what the hell I witnessed sitting in that stadium on Saturday night, because you texted me saying, I'm bloody pleased I didn't go now.
Yeah, it was a difficult one, weren't it, mate? To say the least. Definitely. I think I had you call me. I had loads of people from our group chats call me. I had a couple of mates going, are you going tonight? I was like, no, I've had fun making MDF flat pack for the day. And thank God I didn't go, to be honest, because how can we quantify that game? It wasn't good, was it? And I know all four of us are very much like, we try and back the club as much as possible, but I mean, how can you back something after that game? And we try and be level, we try and be clear, but I mean, that was dross. And realistically, I felt sorry for a lot of fans who went to the stadium that night. It was a horrible night. It had been pouring down a rain all day. It was absolutely horrible. And if you're going to have a game under the lights on a Saturday night, you want to be entertained, don't you? And I think the most entertaining part would have been probably getting a drink at half time or literally walking back to the train station on the way out. That's the problem. And it just seems to be that we've kicked off this podcast and we've had 3 defeats in a week to try and do it and try and be level and try and be happy. And I know Luke and Dylan are the same. They've done podcasts this week and they've done stuff to try and boost people up. But how can you feel positive at the moment? Because I can't really see much to be positive about, in all honesty. And that's coming from me, who's been called a happy clapper.
It's difficult. I spent over 3 hours last night on a fan show co-hosting with Chris Cowlin. We spoke to people from South Africa, New Zealand, Czech Republic, obviously in the UK. The general consensus was that we had to stick with the manager we have at the moment. We have to grin and bear it. It's an ownership issue currently where the recruitment isn't quite right. Dylan, I'm going to come to you. Where are you currently now with Thomas Frank? Are you still Thomas Frank in, out, or are you wanting to see progression for you to be excited about the future?
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of fans are divided at the moment. I think it's a reactionary thing. I mean, of course, look, having this many defeats is really, really tough to take on the chin. But I mean, personally, I don't want to see Frank going anywhere, considering he's not even had like a quarter of the season. It's a rebuild, and I hate to say it, but you got to trust the process. It's one of those things. These things don't happen overnight. As frustrating as it's going to be, we're going to have really, really awful defeats like this. But if it means 3 years down the line we're properly competing, like how we were with, admittedly, yeah, we didn't win anything, but with like Mauricio, Pochettino, we were a lot better of a team then. Admittedly, he did have his drawbacks, especially as you can argue that he wasn't financially backed and all of that kind of stuff. But I think we're not going to be in a better position if we sack Frank right now. I really, really don't understand why that would be a good idea. I don't really want to be seeing that happening again, because then you can just chuck the season away just like that, and probably the next 2 or 3, because it's just an awful cycle. I just don't want to be seeing that again. I'd rather wait and see if Frank can pick it up for himself. I believe he can. He's just currently dealing with the cards that he's been dealt with at the moment. So I just think just give him a bit of time and we'll see. Simple as that.
Luke, where are you currently with Thomas Frank? For me personally, I think we need to see more in the transfer window. We've got an ownership group that's slightly changed in terms of personnel that's heading it. And they've come out at the beginning of the season to say we need to be competing on all fronts. Not us. We didn't say that's a fan base. That was them. Do you think the next 2 months is going to be a real critical period, not only in Thomas Frank's tenure, but also us as a football club for over the next 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, under the last tenure, we had a very, very good first window, brought in loads of players. Obviously, we lost Kane, but we brought in loads of players. But the next 3 windows, we brought in one player to improve the 11, who was Solanke. And a lot of people would argue that he's not good enough now. So it's okay showing ambition in one window, but you need to do that consistently, consecutively, target the right players. I mean, our recruitment's been pretty bad for a long period of time. That needs to get better. We need to improve in all aspects, to be honest with you. I would play devil's advocate with what Dylan was saying. I actually agree. I don't think we should get rid of Frank, but and I have seen people say, no, I'm going to give him a year. I'm going to give him 2 years. You can't say that on the basis that if we go and lose the next 10 in a row, then you have to make a decision, right? So you have to almost judge it, not game by game really, but you have to judge it by section. So I'm not happy with what I've seen in terms of especially the last week or so. I think he definitely needs to make improvements, but I don't think we should just be saying like, let's get rid of him. Every manager's going to go through struggles and everything else. I completely agree on that point, but we definitely have to see an improvement and an idea of what we want to become and where Frank wants to go with this team. I mean, you look at some of the stats from the Fulham game. I think the first half we put in 20 crosses and didn't deliver one to a Tottenham player. It was 19, I think it was. So that is clearly not working. So why do we keep persisting with exactly the same thing that doesn't work? And all season we've not played enough centrally, and we carried on not playing enough centrally. So I feel like he needs to make some adjustments, but I do completely agree with Dylan. I think we need to be a little bit more patient, understanding of it being a bit more of a cycle that needs to take place. But also it depends on where this ownership want to go. So if Frank is the guy that they wanted to bring in, and he was the one that they believe would be the kind of at the front of this project, then great. But I'm sick and tired of us not just changing managers, but changing styles and changing from one thing to another. So you Conte play 5 at the back, we go to a manager that plays 4, then we go to a defensive one, and we've gone from Ange Postecoglou, is one of the most attacking managers out there, to Thomas Frank, who likes to develop from defensive positions and go longer and counter-attacking. So this is one of the reasons why we keep sitting there going like, what sort of player is this one? What sort of player is that one? Because we're going from one extreme to another consistently. I think we need an idea, as I said before, we need an idea of what they want Spurs to become. Is it an attacking unit who you kind of Poch kind of thing, pressing, attacking, being high intensity, that sort of stuff? If you want to do that, you go and bring in the players and the managers that suit that system, but stop going from just, feels like we just kind of have a plan, get rid of it, and then go, right, let's start a brand new plan, which is not what top clubs should be doing in my eyes. But yeah, I think he should stay, but I can't say he should stay. He should have a year, because again, if we go and lose the next 5 or 6, then you have to make. I think
that's right. I think if he goes and loses these next 5 or 6, I think December is critical to him and potentially the future. Callum, where are those improvements coming from or are needed? Because we are struggling at the moment, especially in front of goal and creating chances.
Yeah, it is a difficult one, and I mean, I know Dylan's the youngest out of all of us, but me, you, and Luke have all seen God knows how many rebuilds in this time with Spurs, haven't we? I mean, it all started for me back with Martin Yole, Redknapp, all of them. I mean, we are all older, greyer, more unhappy people now. I mean, Luke's looking older with God knows how many kids now, looking tired. But realistically, this is what Spurs are doing to us as well. And I am very much like, you're going to back Frank, stick with it. But there's only so much you can do when the fans are already calling for more of Enoch out. They're calling for Frank to either get a style of play or get the squad going. And realistically, we have to say this summer he brought players in who, apart from maybe Takai, who could improve our first 11, and half of them aren't even playing or are so far off the curve. Because yeah, realistically, we would hope that we'd have had a lot of injuries players back. So we'd have hoped we'd had Solanke and Madison back from their long terms last year. He hasn't had that. But he brought in Mawani, top starting striker for France. Brought in Paulinho, who's one of the starting sixes for Portugal. He got Xavi Simons in, who was hot product. We actually went out with intent this window, and he hasn't managed to find a way to integrate them into this at the moment. And realistically, as a manager who is meant to be this tactical board guy who's got this great coaching staff with Cochrane, Jorgensen, all these great coaches, analysts, all that, it hasn't clicked, has it? Apart from, what would you say, Burnley, City, and maybe that poxy game against, was it Preston or something like that, or Oldham, whoever we played in the Cup, it hasn't really looked like someone who's done an overhaul yet. That's what fans are crying for. They want to see an identity, and I don't honestly think we've got an identity. It just looks like hoof the ball long. Hopefully someone can cross it into the box. And like Luke said, 19 or 20 crosses and not one met a player. I mean, I know Richarlison's crap, but I mean, even that's got to have some validity to it where we question what's going on stylistically. And the hope has to be that we get these players firing and we get players back into form. And realistically, he needs time, yes. And the club are continuing to back him. And there's been a lot of people calling for other managers to come in. I think this is realistically like what Rumswizzle says: top players, poor mentality. A lot of it is down to the players, which is causing a lot of problems here. I know the style isn't helping, but out of how many, what did we concede? 13 goals in the last week, something like that, or the last 4 games. Realistically, 6 of them are down to mistakes by the players as well. That needs to be knocked out of it, and we need to show fight back. Because Frank, there's only so much he can do to do that. He needs to inspire the players, but they've got to take his words literally and do it. And realistically, who out there is there to replace Frank? Xavi.
This is it. Okay. This is it. Last night with Chris, I asked that question with people, and I've asked it social media wise, like, what's the answer then? If you want Thomas Frank out, tell me the answer. Who is the answer? Because the answer isn't Ange Postecoglou. He's not coming back to this football club. It is never going to happen. It doesn't matter how much we want, we cry for it. He's already lost the job since he left us 6 months ago. He's never going to come back. And sometimes, and I pine for Poch sometimes, but a lot of the time after I start doing that, I think to myself, you shouldn't go back, because that affection you have for something will get tarnished and you'll lose that. I think Maurizio and Ange could come to the stadium and 90% of the people there are going to be very happy to see them. I don't think you need to tarnish that legacy, quote unquote, that you've built. But Luke, I want to ask you a question before we touch on Thomas Frank's press conference today, which brought up some interesting things. Do you agree with some census, and this is in my agreement, is that Thomas Frank is struggling because he's not used to playing every 2 or 3 days? He's not used to, he hasn't had that before ever. Is he struggling with that and being able to then integrate the players into the squad, as Callum said, the number of players we have purchased, he's not playing them. Is he struggling with that 2 to 3 day game turnaround?
I think there's multiple reasons as to why he's struggling, and I think that is definitely one of them. When this whole discussion started taking place last year, when Ange was here, I backed Ange, and I wanted Ange to stay towards the end of the year. And then I was happy for him to go if that's what the decision was. But for me, we needed to show real intent in terms of who we're bringing in to say we're going to the next level here. And Frank, for me, didn't scream that. He screamed very much a project. He screamed very much for me, he was the ideal person to come in if we lost the Europa League final and you build with him, not a Champions League club that wants to progress and be in the Champions League year on year. But he's here. I like him. I think he's a great man. I like the way he is. I'm sure we'll go into it in a little bit more detail. I think one of the issues is playing week in, week out in the different competitions. I was told when I've been on a few pods and mentioned this, that he'd done it in the Championship, and I was like, come on guys, we're talking different levels here. We're talking about playing Real Madrid's and Bayern Munich's and PSG's, not playing, with all due respect, like Walsall or whoever that may be that he played in the Championship like 10 years ago. So it's a completely different level. He's used to having a settled side in terms of he's been there for a long time. He knows the players inside out. And also, I think it's a completely different level of expectation. So that comes with it, a different vibe, a different feeling. And I said, I'm sure we'll go into it, but I've watched some of Frank's press conferences. I can't pretend that I've watched every single one of them before he signed for Spurs, but he seemed like someone who was always cool, calm, collected, wouldn't get spiky. And all of a sudden, after 10 or 15 games, some of his responses to reporters are a little bit spiky and everything else. It's a different level. It's a different pressure cooker. He's not going to be used to being questioned why his team's lost 2-1 at home to Fulham, because at Brentford that was not a massive deal. It was okay, but next week they might win, and it's different. It's different at Spurs. There's different expectations. So yeah, I think there's a few things that he needs to learn. I think he's intelligent. I think he can learn, but it's how quickly he can learn. And I think he needs to realize very quickly. A lot of the stuff that I'm seeing him say, and again, I'm sure we'll go into it a little bit more, but a lot of the stuff I'm seeing him say is coming from a Brentford manager. And he's not.
I agree. Dylan, I'm going to read you a comment from him today in today's press conference. He obviously made a comment after the game on Saturday about the fans booing Vicario after his mistake. I disagree that we should have been booing him. He was booed twice after the mistake. I get the frustrations, but I don't think we should boo any player in our shirt. It kills players. Look at Davinson Sanchez for an example. However, he was asked again today. He was asked on the true Spurs fan comment. Easy for me to say. He said, "I don't know," and you can say, "How do you define a true Spurs fan?" I think all the fantastic fans we have believe they're true Spurs fans. Some react in one way, some react in the other. Some are a little bit in between. No matter what, we need all of them. Where do you, Dylan, sit with this true fan comment that has been made for him? Because it has divided a fan base again that's already kind of divided because of who the manager is, and I think it's adding fuel to the fire. That's my opinion. Dylan, please let me know yours.
Yeah, on top of everything else, it was not something I think anyone wanted to hear, and I think it came across the wrong way quite a lot. I think when he meant true fan, I just think he meant the reaction, to be honest with you. I was listening to, I did hear online of him saying that. I was reading it, and I was thinking to myself, this is probably the worst thing you could say right now, and it sounded a bit reactionary from him. By true fan. What is a true fan? I mean, if you think about it, if you're in the stadium, there's going to be quite a lot of people there who are gonna react in that way. So I mean, after seeing Vicario doing what he did, I can understand why people did it. Obviously, he probably doesn't make it right, but I mean, making a true fan. Gosh,
It's difficult, isn't it? It's adding
it's a
fuel to
tricky
a
one.
fire that
Yeah,
doesn't need to be the fire doesn't need to be ignited any more than it kind of already is. My comment would be to him is that I've been here longer than he has ever been, and I will be here longer than he is as a manager, and I've been here longer than him and his players combined, and I'll be here longer than him and his players after. They can go somewhere else. They will go somewhere else. Not anybody in that football team and that 11, that squad, or the manager will retire at that football club. I can't go anywhere else. Doesn't mean that I'm entitled to boo them. However, I'm entitled to have my opinion. And at the moment, I paid 80 something pounds to watch that on Saturday. And after 6 minutes, I'm watching an absolute mess. So I think frustrations are acceptable from a Spurs fans. Equally, I think he gave that comment in frustration as well. Luke, what is your thoughts on his comments just briefly before we go over to Callum for his? Let me know what you think. Was it more of a frustration, do you think, from Thomas Frank, or is he trying to set a precedent here?
Yeah, it was a real strange one, and one of the reasons why I think it was even more strange was the basis that he didn't just say it in one interview, he said it in multiple. So you obviously have the Sky Sports one, and he goes into the press conference and he mentioned it again. And for me, at the first one, he should have gone, I've been a little bit too emotional here. I really should hold back, but he didn't. He doubled down, and I was like, "You're not speaking from a position of power here. Like, if we were fourth, or we were third, or we were second, or we just won the game, or you were speaking from a position of power to be like, look, we all need to be in this together, because that don't help." He wasn't. We'd just been beat. We'd been beat 3 times in a week. We'd conceded, as you said, 13 goals or whatever it was in 3 games. He's not speaking from a position of power, so therefore he should just not have said it. There is nothing stopping him saying something along the lines of, "It doesn't help any players." So I wouldn't personally do it. We need to be all in this together. But to talk about being a real fan and things like that, it's just really, really strange. And again, it is a slight indication about the pressure maybe getting to him. I hope that's not the case. And again, I hope he learns. I hope he learns from the whole situation. But we sort of had this last year when Ange sort of started digging out fans, and for me that was the point where I was like, this is where you're really playing with fire here. Like you need to really respond on the pitch, and we're not talking about a team that's lost a few games and they've performed well. Like, these performances have been terrible. So the fans are frustrated. I personally don't boo. I wouldn't boo. I don't really see the point in it. But when people have spent the money that you have spent going to see the game, if you want to boo, you're absolutely entitled to. And I think also what's been missed here a little bit, for me, Vicario's mistake was not the problem. It was Vicario's response to start then slating other players. And it's like, no, you've made this mistake. You could have cleared it on 3 or 4 occasions. You didn't. You then even had a poor clearance. And then also, you didn't get back as quickly as you should. It felt like he was out of his goal for an absolute age. So for me, he, as a leader, as we were saying earlier, I'd just turn around and go, this is on me, right? Let's see where we can go. So I think that also played a part in it. But yeah, just to start, as I say, you've got to be in a position of power if you want to start playing with the whole fans are here, fans are to blame sort of thing. And we're certainly not in that at this moment in time.
No, Callum, just briefly with you, he hasn't built enough. What's the word?
He ain't got enough credit in the bank, has he? To make
he hasn't got
comments.
enough credit yet to say those things. If that was Maurizio, if that was Harry Redknapp, if that was, look, I go back to Terry Venables, right? If it's those type of managers, okay, we get it. But he's been here for 4 months, 5 months. He's not brought enough credit in the bank yet, has he?
No, definitely. But we do have a habit of making these managers blow up, don't we? We have the special ones, rants. We then have Conte's exit interview live on TV as well. So we do like to get them to the position. The thing with it is that what Frank said, if you look at it in a personal sort of way, he's right. You don't want to boo your players. You want to back them. You want to support them. The problem is that he doesn't stick by what he says. That's what I noticed in a lot of these press conferences. He says one thing, then backtracks. He says another thing, then backtracks. It seems to be this vicious cycle with him where he says something and then goes, oh, no, it was misinterpreted. Well, realistically, Danish is probably as close as you're going to get to the English language. So you can't even have a translation sort of barrier there. The problem is that these players are meant to be playing for the badge. Realistically, we're not seeing that at the moment. And yes, Vicario was an absolute prat on Saturday. I mean, we know he's got that moment in him, to be honest. We know that he has these issues.
I mean, this is the moment. This is the moment here that I've tried to slow it down as best I can. There is no reason for him to even be where he is. That's a decent starting position for him on the edge of the box. But the player, Jimenez, I think it is what, 5-6 yards off of the 18-yard box with a player with him. Okay, and he's running away from goal. And Vicario comes out, wins the ball. He needs to immediately clear it. However, I can understand some of the concerns here that we've not got a player going back onto the goal line. But if you do watch it, Pedro Porro starts to go and then stops because he thinks the keeper's kicking it into touch. And it's a mess.
This is something that we have with Vicario, isn't it? There's been a lot of questions over his communication with the back line a lot of time. Yeah. You see that he doesn't communicate, then he berates all of them. He has a go at them. Yeah. I mean, this doesn't help. Udogie's out of position. He got pelters on Saturday. He was not good. And then when Vicario tries to do coif turns and play as a sweeper and do God knows what, when he is not good enough as a keeper to do that. There's probably 3 keepers in the world that are good enough to do that. Oblak, Neuer, and maybe Courtois. They're the only 3 top-class keepers out there that I would rate to be able to get themselves out of that situation. Vicario is not. And it doesn't help that when you do them same mistakes constantly, no wonder the fans are going to call for his name. No wonder they're going to get frustrated. And Frank obviously commented as well, saying, oh, they was cheering everything that he did then afterwards. Yes, sarcastically, because there was a lot of questions of faith in, I think, the whole team in that game. No matter what Kudus did to try and get us back in the second half, we weren't good enough, were we? And you can see why, like you say, you've spent over 80 quid. I spend usually 150 on a day round trip going down there. The other guys probably pay the same as well. We want to be entertained. And I know I took the pee sending you that clip on that meme on Saturday, but from a neutral point of view, you'd be entertained. As a Spurs fan, we are not entertained. We are frustrated. We need to see reactions, and we're not seeing it at the moment, are we?
No. Dylan, Thomas Frank had this to say on Vicario in his press conference today. I spoke with him and I asked how he was. He said he was okay. He is a good player to deal with when it is setbacks like this. How you deal with mistakes is a big part of how you become as a player. Vic is remarkable. His character is fantastic in every aspect. It is about how you carry yourself every day in the good times and in the bad times. And he is very consistent in that way. Everyone can make mistakes, but it's the way he carries himself impresses me very much. Dylan, we've seen a number of mistakes from him. However, he is an exceptional shot stopper and has probably saved us on sometimes this season. Where are you with Vicario? Are we just putting this down to a mistake, but we understand that these can happen? Or are you calling for maybe Kingsley to start getting some minutes in goal?
It's the thing. He can have his day. He can absolutely have his day. We've had keepers like him before. One game he will turn up and have the game of his life, and the next he will be doing stuff like that. It's the problem at the moment. I do like him as a keeper. I don't think he's going to be long term. I mean, I'm already hearing stuff, rumors going around that I think Inter are potentially looking at him. It's just a problem at the moment. Kinski, I wouldn't mind him getting a run of games, maybe as the FA Cup comes about, maybe he'll get some game time, given that we can actually have a bit of a cup run. At the moment, it doesn't feel like we would. But yeah, no, I think the thing with Vicario is that you just can't keep doing mistakes like this, because I mean it's pretty self-explanatory. If you cannot kick it out from a mistake like that, if you can't kick it out and then they're just going to easily sort of kick it in the net, get a goal, and then put themselves 2-0 up, then questions are going to be asked, and they have been asked. They've been asked multiple times. This is not a one-time thing with Vicario. I think
certainly is. The distribution's the concern. I noticed a lot, Luke, on Saturday that our centre halves are taking goal kicks. To me, Mickey van der Ven's taking a goal kick. He's smashing it to the halfway line. We're 15 yards behind play if we lose that ball. This clearly seems to be a concern. Very briefly, because we do need to move on. Where are you? Are you? Would you be happy with Kinski to be given some time, or is it you still think Vicario is the number one?
No, I still think Vicario is the number one. I think Kinski's come in. He had a great couple of games. Then he's when he came in again, I think towards the end of last year, he struggled in a few occasions as well. So it is a difficult one, and I don't think Frank's insistent on playing out from the back as much as or certainly not when he's being pressured. He's able to go longer, Vicario. So it just screams a bit of confidence. Again, we've made the mistake. We're 1-0 down. The last thing you want to do is make another mistake, and it's a bit of leadership to kind of just settle things down. I think in terms of him being an issue, I think Spurs have bigger issues at this moment in time. So I think they're the pressing facts. However, I think if you're wanting to become a team that challenges in the top four consistently, then I think Vicario is definitely a player there where you go, maybe he's not quite at that level to be able to compete. But as I say, for me, I think we're struggling in other areas at this moment in time, and maybe we just have to restrict what we want him to do. So don't play out as much, be a little bit more basic, just kind of get the ball. We seem to be going long on occasions with Van der Ven. Well, if we're doing that, surely just do it with Vicario. Like, it's just we've had a goalkeeper in Lloris who really struggled with his feet for a long period of time. So it's not like we're used to this. Sorry, not used to this. We are used to it. So yeah, I think I wouldn't say he's a problem. I think he's probably a top 8 goalkeeper. He's capable, bit of like Gomez, capable of absolute brilliance on one day, but then capable of a bit of a weird one on occasions as well. So I like Kinski, but I think Kinski needs a full season where he's playing every single week to kind of see what level he's actually at. I don't feel like coming in and going out is one for him. So yeah, I'm okay with him being the number one, but I think eventually he's going to need to be replaced if we want to be a top team.
Yeah, I think maybe Kinski might have been the answer. Had we not got the Champions League and Vicario had moved on, we could have said, look, this is a complete rebuilding. But coming to you, Callum, Thomas Frank had this comment to say today. This is about finding the right formula to win. He said, I would say that we're still searching to find the winning formula. I think that's pretty obvious. And I think that Xavi Simons is part of that formula. What do you think is the main problems at the moment for the failure to win that winning formula?
Continuously changing your bloody team every 5 seconds is one of the main issues. Not having a settled starting 11. That's the thing. What can you say realistically? It's Xavi is a good enough player to start games. From what I've seen, he can change games for definite. There's an insistence to stick with certain players that Frank classes as key. We seem to like these 2 defensive midfielders and then not have someone who can carry the ball in front of them. The style doesn't work realistically. Changing the constant personnel doesn't work. So if you're going to do something, stick with it. If not, get rid of it. Simple as that. And realistically, that's what it is. You should know what your best starting 11 is after 3 months, 4 months, I'd say. What we started in August, September, October, November. 4 months. We've gone out one cup competition. We are 9th in the Premier League last I saw. We are in the top 12 or 13 in the Champions League. He's had 20 games. You should know where you stand after 20 games, realistically, in terms of most of your starting personnel. And I think the only guaranteed starters at the moment, because we ain't got anyone else, Doggy, Porro, Van de Ven and Romero. Everyone else has been switched out constantly, and it doesn't help, because any time that we think a player's getting into a rhythm, it goes. Tell, we thought he was getting into a rhythm, gets dropped. Odebear, rhythm dropped. Kudus, injury, a little bit different. Yeah, Sarr as well. We then had Graham Bergvall, and they realistically get dropped and then brought back in and then get injured. Bentancur and Paulinho haven't got a rhythm going since the Man City game. That's the problem. One can play well, one's shit. Simple as that. It's just the alternate on different days. They're like,
yeah, I completely agree with you. We currently sit joint 12th in the league. Slightly below us on the same amount of points is Newcastle, who we face tomorrow night. So there's quite a concern straight away. There's likely that we'll drop down. We're also joint on 18 points with Everton as well, and who are in 14th. And 1 point behind them is Fulham on 17th. So this could be Fulham are in 15th. This could be a very worrying week for us ahead. If we don't get a result against Newcastle or Brentford, we could realistically find ourselves down in 15th place. And I'm not sure the Thomas Frank out brigade will quieten down. However, Thomas Frank had some comments also today in his press conference. He was asked about conceding 13 goals in the last 4 games. He said, you can say the 4 goals we conceded against United and Fulham are some of the goals I'd like to avoid more. I think we had 5 or 7 shots. The XG is very low. And the other 2, we conceded too many shots. We're conceding too many shots, Dylan. We're also not taking many shots. We broke our own record for XG, the lowest in the Premier League in one game against Arsenal. And then we broke it on the game after. Where are you attacking wise? It's clearly not working at the moment, is it?
Yeah, I mean it's slowly putting last season to shame at the moment. It's like it's been said already. I think there's been too much switching around with the players. There is no consistency in the lineups every week in, week out. I'm saying, finally this lineup's changed. There's more players in. Stop playing Bentancur and Paulinho together. We've got players like Xavi on the bench who, I mean, I'm starting to question why we've even brought him in. I thought he'd be a player we could sort of put in that number 10 and sort of drill into the middle. I know he's not had the best. I know he's not had the best start, but I don't think any player is going to get anywhere if they're not being played properly. There's so many. There are somewhat decent options on the bench. Admittedly, none of them are definitely world class at the moment. We just need to get our heads a bit straight and look at the consistency and what we're actually struggling with, because really where we're starting up with these lineups, it's frustrating. It's really, really frustrating me, and I think everyone else can agree on that, is that there is no consistency at all. And attacking on goal, it's kind of like last season. And we were probably just as attacking them, but we were letting in all of those awful goals. But it seems to be sort of the opposite. And it's frustrating and a bit confusing to say where we go from there. But I would just love to see us probably playing a bit more of an attacking sense of football, probably getting more players up front. And someone like Kudus, who, he's been struggling. He struggled with a bit of an injury, a bit of a knock. Just get those players up on the wing, get them drilling into the middle, and stop getting players like Porro crossing it into no one, because it's quite clear it's not working.
He struggled the last few weeks, and I think if you look back at the game against Fulham, we only really played with one winger, and that was Mohamed Kudus. So there's clearly a balance issue on that left-hand side. Callum, we're going to come to you now for our youth update. The under-18s played this weekend, and let's hear how our under-18s have been getting on.
A little bit more positive than the first team, let's put it that way. I know me and you love watching it, so we at least had a little bit of fun. Obviously, we went 1-0 down to start off with. then our favourite player of this year at the moment, Williams Barnett, came back, levelled it up 1-0 or 1-1 with a outstanding free kick. And then Oliver Boast went down in the box, came back, got us a nice penalty for Barnett to score as well. Unfortunately, Arsenal did come back to 2-2 after we put the ball onto the post and then hit the netting as well. And realistically, Arsenal ended with 9 men. It's quite disappointing, but we ended with 10, so we can't really say much for it. But we're getting there, I think, with the youngsters. We've appointed a new coach last week as well, which was very promising. We've nicked him from Man City. You can't really complain that City have one of the worst youth academies in the country, so I'm very happy about that one. But so we got Brighton away on Saturday, joint third in the league with Chelsea, and behind Palace, who are top 3 points clear. Another good result of the weekend as well was for the under-15s with a 6-3 win over Charlton. I don't know whether you guys have heard of this one, but Isaiah Halton Sinclair continues his superb season with another hat-trick for us as well. Other goals from Charlie Claber, Jaden Neems, and an own goal as well. But definitely the younger age groups are doing a lot better than the first team are faring. So maybe if we want to rebuild, we could just switch the teams out. We could send our first team players down to the under 21 leagues, and we will go with the first team. I mean, even Luke would get some sleep probably if we had them playing, because at least we'd have more enjoyable. But no, really positive weekend. A shame with the 2-2 draw. Probably deserved more, but we'll take it. It's a North London derby. As long as you don't lose, I'm happy.
Yeah. And it was awful conditions at the Tottenham at Hotspur Way. Absolutely torrential rain.
It was like monsoon, weren't it? It was horrendous.
Yeah, it was so bad that the cameraman wasn't allowed to go up into the stand to film it because it was that bad. He had to do it from the sidelines. The camera wasn't the best. However, it was a decent game. Luca Williams-Barnett with an excellent free kick under the wall. Thought it was superb. He was very good again, just coming back from the Under-17s World Cup. Just before we close out, we've probably got 5 minutes left, so I'm just going to go around to everybody. Tomorrow night, we are away at Newcastle, and as I said earlier, we are currently joint with Newcastle in the Premier League, and this is a massive game. We are 12th, they are 13th. We're both joint on 18 points. Should Newcastle beat us tomorrow, they will go above us and drop us back down. Dylan, what is your expectations for tomorrow night and a score prediction, please?
Yeah, look, I want us to do a lot better. I'm expecting us to do a lot better, especially after the amount of times Thomas Frank said we need to bounce back. He said that quite a few times now. I expect us to struggle, though. I'll have a little bit of hope in there. I maybe will go with a 2-2 draw. I know, again, that's a little bit hopeful. Probably not expecting a win because we do struggle with Newcastle away. But I think 2-2 away, I mean, I'd probably take that given the way the things are going at the moment. Definitely wouldn't mind a win, but I think 2-2 I would probably take, or a draw.
Callum, 2-2 good enough for you?
Anything that ain't a loss at the moment, I'll take, to be honest. I just want to see a reaction. I was hoping for that Saturday, and in all honesty, and if this isn't going to be a rant, but it might be a mini rant, we just want to see a reaction. We don't want the players to react after the shit's already hit the fan like it did on Saturday. And it took us 60 minutes to make a reaction. I want us to play on the front foot from the start. Or don't even bother going to Newcastle. Just send an under-21 set up. Just do something or don't do it at all, realistically, for me. So, yeah, I'm hoping for minimum 2-2. I'd take a 3-2 to us. I'd take a 1-0 snatch and grab at this rate. I just don't want us to fall down further on the table because even though it's very close at the moment, that gap will start appearing over the Christmas period because the fixtures are coming thick and fast now.
Yeah. Luke, just coming to you finally. Does the club not only need a reaction, but Thomas Frank needs it more?
Yeah, I think Thomas Frank definitely needs a reaction. I think the fans need a reaction. I think the club needs one, to be honest. I've been saying for ages, well, for the last couple of weeks, that it's not just for me. It's not just about just getting the results. It's about a performance. There's nothing bad about going to Newcastle and losing. They're a good team. They've got some very good players. Their home atmosphere is fantastic. The stadium's difficult to play in. Spurs I don't think have a great record there. So there's no harm in there's no shame in going there and losing. But if you go there and you lose and it's been a poor performance and they haven't tried hard and you kind of lose with a whimper, then that's one thing. Whereas if you go there, you lose 2-1, it's a last minute goal, you've had the better of the chances, it's a completely different optics. So I think performances are a massive key to this. We need to see, even if we're not winning games, we need to see where we're supposed to go, what are we supposed to be expecting to see week on week. I'm going to go with a very ambitious 1-1 because I think that it could be one of them where if Newcastle get an early goal, we could really struggle there. But we need a performance, and for me, I think the guys are right. We need to stop chopping and changing. He needs to put in a team that's going to play consistently and also create some chances. We need to go back to playing attacking football in some way, because we're playing defensive and conceding goals. So we might as well just go for it, right?
Absolutely. For me, I'm going. I would love to see a 1-0 win for us. Our winning goal coming off of somebody's arse going into the back of the net, just so we can have a laugh as well. Realistically, though, I'm not sure. I'm very concerned. I don't think the reaction's going to come in this game. I think the reaction is going to be coming in Brentford. If it doesn't, very concerned about the future with Thomas Frank. That is all we've got time for. Dylan, thanks so much for joining us. Do let everybody know where they can find you and about all the great content that you're creating.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I'm mainly found on YouTube at Dylan Coys, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all them lot.
Perfect. Callum, my co-host, will continue to bring us more of our youth academy, but where can we find you and your content?
Just Callum Stubbs 97 on X. You can find me on Spurs Die Hard. Sometimes I'm with Luke on Spotlight on Spurs, on Harry's channels. Sometimes anywhere, everywhere. Just throw a piece of paper in the air and I'll probably find it eventually.
Perfect. And Luke, tell us about the great stuff you're doing down there at Spotlight on Spurs.
Yeah, again, thanks a lot for having me on. I really appreciate it. Yeah, so you can follow me, Spotlight on Spurs, on all socials, YouTube, X, Insta, the lot. Just talking all things Spurs. There's always something to talk about, right, guys?
There certainly is. But thanks, all three of you, for joining us. Obviously, please do and follow the guys as well. They're great at what they do. Let's hope for a positive one. We might come back on Wednesday for a little chat briefly on the Newcastle game. And if we are, hopefully we'll see all them. But as forever, come on, you Spurs.